Welcome back to Disney Marvels for a week of September 20th, 2020. 2020. This is episode 102. Disney Marvels, the show about Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm, Muppets, Pixar, 20th Century, the parks, and much, much more. If it has to do with Disney, it's fair game. I'm your host, Matthew Graken. We'll be back after a few messages from our friends and sponsors.
Hey guys, Rob for Alt Universe here. Are you into nerdy things like Pokemon, Marvel, and Disney? You've come to the right spot. We have videos, we have games, we have contests, we just do all sorts of fun. Whether it's going live during the week, or posting about an article about a new movie coming out, we do everything we can to keep you in the know and have some fun. Oh, and we have swag too. So come on. We're everywhere social media can be found, and we want you to become part of our family. Stay nerdy.
And now, on with the show. Not too long ago, I invited you to take a walk down Main Street, USA with me. And today, I'm inviting you to join me as we not go look at a whole land or section, but one particular building in Walt Disney World. And that is the Cinderella Castle. The Big Weenie, as the Imagineers would have it, of the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World, Florida. As if there was another Walt Disney World. It's awe-inspiring. It is something that people dream of. And immediately, most people, I would dare say almost majority of the people, when you mention Walt Disney World, one of the first images to pop into their head, besides a Dole Whip, is Cinderella's castle. The big structure, walk down Main Street, USA, and there it is. And it's unique and it's not. It is special. It is different than so many icons. And like I said, world over, people talk about Walt Disney World, and like I said, the image that pops up is this castle. This elegant, beautiful structure. It's grays and blues and gold. That is like really nothing else. There's no other castle like it. Sort of. And I'll get into all that. But come along. Let's take a walk. And let's see what we can see and learn what we can learn. Because this is truly a spectacular piece of Imagineering. I'm going to skip past the courtyard for a moment and come back to that a little bit later. But ahead of us, there is the stage. The stage was not there originally. It was something that was added in I believe it was the 90s, during an expansion. And then you have the two sweeping staircases that go up, cross the drawbridge around the moat into the plaza. Let's start with the structure on the outside. There are 27 towers to the castle, which are numbered 1 through 29. Strangely enough, because the towers numbered 13 and 17, not because of anything else, but were deleted because they were not easily seen from the park. They never actually built them. Mainly because parts of Fantasyland block the view, and why spend money on something that people cannot see? The tower and the clock in the front is number 10. It's the tallest, and the tallest is number 20. Number 23 is the other golden roof tower. And for the better part of 2015, Disney added 4 additional turrets to Cinderella's castle, extending the lovely panorama. These turrets also aren't just on the main castle itself. Remember, the castle walls extend out into Fantasyland. And the ones that were built in 2005 were whenever they did the new Fantasyland expansion further out, kind of creating the full effect of the town within the castle walls. And then you have the parts of Fantasyland that are beyond the castle walls. The Voyage of the Little Mermaid, Storybook Circus, and all that stuff. Beast Castle. Those are outside the castle walls. That is the land beyond Cinderella's castle, beyond Fantasyland. So that's a whole nother section there. So you have parts of the wall that are, dividing New Fantasyland from the original Fantasyland. The castle itself took 18 months of construction. It was completed July of 1971. Remember, the park opened in October. So not long before the park was done, or park was about to open, this castle was just being finished. It is 189 feet tall, measuring from the concrete base at the bottom by the water and going up from there. Speaking of the water, the moat that surrounds the castle holds approximately 3.37 million U.S. gallons of water. That's 3.37 million. This castle is 100 feet taller. Actually, it's a little more than 100 feet taller than Sleeping Beauty Castle in California. Remember that the California castle is quite tiny. It is pales in comparison to its sister castles around the world. But it was the original, and it had a much smaller budget. Although it appears taller, Cinderella's castle clocks in, again, only at 189 feet, and that was on purpose. They obviously, if they could have gone taller, they would have. But they had to stop at 189 feet for a reason. Because at the time of construction, any structures at 190 feet would require the red flashing light for aircraft beacons on top of it. The Imagineers obviously did not want to deal with that because that would really kill the show. It would really interrupt things and just be an eyesore. So that's why they used the forced perspective, just like they did on Main Street, where the different floors are at different heights. Now, granted, today that height limit has been pushed to 200 feet, requiring the red aircraft beacon. Why some of the other structures in Disney World are larger than this. The biggest one being Expedition Everest at a whopping 199.5 feet, just missing out on that 200 feet. Again, on purpose. The first floor of Cinderella's castle was built to scale, so that's natural, just like everything else on Main Street. The second story is built slightly smaller, and the windows and blocks are at a 5/8 of the size of the ones on the first floor, and the top spire of Cinderella Castle is half the size it actually appears to be. So, if you really look at it, you notice that things get a lot smaller as you go up. It's really to, again, fool the eyes and believe that things are as they seem and not what they really are. Same thing goes into the construction of the castle, appearing to be brick and mortar. It really isn't. It is steel and concrete. In fact, 600 tons of steel brace is the frame, the structure that makes up the interior structure of the castle. And it's got 10-inch reinforced concrete walls. All this is connected and drilled occasionally for the foundation. Despite the appearance of brick, no bricks were used. And most of the exterior is very hard fiber reinforced gypsum plaster. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong, which is supported by the metal studs. There's much less fiberglass used than most commonly thought. Fiberglass was used for more of the ornate exterior walls of the upper towers. Roofs are made of the same type of plastic that computer monitor shells are made up from. So it's a very enduring plastic. The towers were raised by crane, welded into place, bolted permanently in place, which goes against the popular legend in Wives' Tale that in a hurricane, the castle can be deconstructed and moved safely away into a giant warehouse, I guess, somewhere. That is not true because that has never happened, despite the amount of hurricanes that come through Florida. It's a lot easier instead of trying to get a crane in there and to take it apart and whatnot, to have built a castle that could withstand up to 110-mile-an-hour hurricane force winds, and actually probably stronger. The castle coloring constantly is changing, and just recently got a refresh paint ready for the 50th anniversary. But normally, again, it's in the blues and the grays type of flair. Granted, you had the 25th anniversary where it just looked Pepto-Bismol pink and had a bunch of cake decorations on it because why not? Or there was also for the 50th anniversary of Disneyland, whenever you had the giant mural hanging in the center over the clock tower that would rotate and show the different castles across the world. That was a lot better than the cake. Still kind of off, breaking the natural image, but it's still the design of it was a lot more natural. But as we walk inside the castle archways, you'll find 5 beautiful mosaic murals telling the story of Cinderella. The series was designed by Imagineer Dorothea Redmond and set by a team of 6 artisans led by mosaic Hans Joachim Schaffer. Each panel is 15 feet by 10 feet. Shaped in a Gothic arch, skilled artisans took 22 months to complete the murals using over 300,000 pieces of Italian glass in more than 500 colors. The tiles are hand cut and many are fused in with sterling silver and 14 karat gold. That's why it's so expensive to get there. Some tiles are even as small as the head of a tack. I mean, talk about detailing. But the castle is more than just the murals. You do have a restaurant. Cinderella's Royal Table, King Stephan's Table, gone by several names, but same restaurant that's been there since the park is open. It is the second floor of this beautiful structure. And though it is quite small, it's not a very spacious restaurant. It is very well designed. Again, huge, beautiful, beautiful windows. Lots of tables, multi-leveled. It is, again, it's cozy. It is one of the most sought after ADRs of the Disney park, the advanced dining reservations. You really do have to try and plan for it as soon as possible and try to get that reservation as soon as it's available because it goes quick. But it's very popular, and it does have that kind of medieval feel to it. Now, the food, you have to check the menus, is a little more on the upper scale steakhouse type of deal, but it has again, it keeps with the theming. It's really nice inside with the big curtains. Again, the big windows that overlook Fantasyland. It's kind of what you expect it to be. It is. And it does have some secrets to it. There are more than 40 coats of arms on display at Cinderella's Royal Table, each referring to someone who had played a significant role in the heritage and the history of the Walt Disney Company. Some of the noteworthy people whose family names are represented are Roy Disney Sr., Diane Disney Miller, John Hench, Dick Nunes, Marty Sklar, and Card Walker. Also, you will find the Disney family crest above the fireplace at the entrance to the Cinderella's Royal Table. So you got a lot of things there. You also have, there's in the castle, related to this, there is an elevator that helps you get up to the Cinderella Royal Table. But that's not the only elevator. There are three such elevators within the castle. One elevator takes you up, like I said, to Cinderella's Royal Table. On the second table, on the second floor, another elevator is the dumbwaiter that is used to move food from kitchen to kitchen. And the last is the small elevator used by the cast to go from the utilidors in the quote-unquote dungeon, or the basement level, first floor level as it were, of the Cinderella Castle, and the other one is to get up to the Cinderella Suite. The second elevator is located in Tower 2 and travels again between the utilidor and the mezzanine level of the break room. And the second floor kitchen, this is the elevator that's most used by cast members who work at the Royal Table. The third is the third final elevator is located in Tower 20 and services the utilidors and the kitchens of Cinderella's Royal Table, the breezeway, and Cinderella's Castle Suite. And speaking of the Royal Suite, initially, when the castle was built, just like they did in Disneyland, they wanted to build a suite for the Disney family. Sadly, Walt Disney passed several years before this park was even designed, but their intent was still to have this for the living family. Never really got finished. It was just an open space in the castle for time to time. So what they did was, we all know they made the Dream Suite for the hotels for the Year of the Million Dreams to give away as prize on June 7th, 2005. They announced the completely redecoration of the suite as a royal bedroom chamber, which can sleep up to 6 people. But in the past, this space had been used as a call center for the Disney reservation system. It was also used as a dressing room. But like I said, 2005, they announced the suite, completely lavish, turned the 650 square foot royal bedroom chamber, and Disney describes it in part as the apartment this way, as if the official press release, Cinderella's Castle Suite, is 4 stories above the surrounding Magic Kingdom, a salon, bedroom chamber, or bed chamber, and a bathroom off a private marble floored foyer, all repeat with rich details. It's quite something. I've never had the blessing of being able to go up there and see it myself. I've seen videos and heard people talk about it. It is quite spectacular. You have your TV turns into a mural whenever you're not using it. You have a grandfather clock that is permanently stuck at 11:59, so that way the magic never runs out. And just such detailing everywhere. You have the starry lights above a soaker tub and in the one bathroom. It is quite spectacular, and I hope and dream that one day I get to go up there myself and see it. But we shall see. Time will tell, unfortunately, on that one. Some other neat little facts is that, as I mentioned before, it's not actually the tallest structure in Walt Disney World. The title belongs, like I said, to Expedition Everest at the Animal Kingdom. The Tower of Terror at Disney Hollywood Studios, they are both 10 feet taller. The Expedition Everest is 6 inches taller than the Tower of Terror, but who's counting? And I was mentioning how this is not as unique as this castle is. It is not completely unique, as there is one other Cinderella castle. Of the 6 castles that are currently out there on Disney parks around the world, there is one other one, and that one resides in Tokyo Disneyland. It is slightly different. Cinderella Castle serves as flagships for both resorts. However, the one in Tokyo is actually smaller than the one in Orlando. It is only 168 feet tall. 20 feet tall difference. That is actually quite huge for a castle. It's also not the tallest Disney castle. It's the second tallest. Years it was the tallest until Enchanted Storybook Castle at Shanghai Disneyland or Disney Resort. was built, and that is the tallest at 197 feet tall. So they got us beat by a little bit. The technology and the lighting in place that projects the images and scenes onto the castle is actually rather quite impressive if we step back outside. With this technology, Disney actually has 16.7 million colors that they can use to create and project perfect images onto the castle. Did you know that there's 16.7 million colors? Because I didn't. I have yet to see a crayon box with that many colors, and I'm afraid to because I know my sons will be asking for it, and I have enough crayons scattered throughout the house. Also on the exterior, if we look up at the clock, most people, I don't know, some people probably have never seen this, but if you look closely and you know your Roman numerals, something is amiss. Or is it? If you look at it, the number 4 is represented by 4 strikes, 4 lines, instead of 4 eyes, instead of the traditional IV, which normally represents the Roman numeral for 4. And there's a very particular reason to this, because this is quite strange, and most people probably don't realize. And it's actually throughout the entire park. You'll see it in Pirates of the Caribbean, and you'll also see it in Liberty Square. The representation of IV was not used after the colonial, or was started being used after the colonial period. The 4 eyes was used on in the movie Cinderella as well, and also in the American Adventure Pavilion at Epcot. So, timing wise, it would have made sense to be historically accurate to use IV to represent 4, because before colonial times, you used 4 strikes or 4 eyes, as it were, for the number 4. Just a little detailing. Even the clock within the royal suite has that too. Going also outside, we look back in the courtyard is the magnificent partner statue. And this wasn't added into 1995. The partner statue was designed and sculpted by the incredible Blaine Gibson, a former Disney Imagineer and animator. Blaine based his depiction of Walt on a bust he created in the 1960s. It took Gibson 1 year to create the partner statue before it was officially added to the Cinderella courtyard June 19th, 1995. This was actually the second partner statue to be added to the parks, the first one being the original in Disneyland in 93. There's now 5 partner statues throughout the world, and it is truly one of my more favorite little statues throughout the park. I mean, you have all the little ones around it of the different characters, but the one in front of the park of Roy sitting there with Minnie Mouse is really special and overlooked, because it's just sitting there on a park bench by the flagpole, and it's very unassuming. This one is Walt standing, he's lifted on a pedestal, and his hands reached out looking at his park and pointing to everybody and holding Mickey's hand. It is just it's so special, and just it's so great to see Walt in the heart of the park looking around at something that sadly he never got to fully see and realize. Something that he dreamed about, he worked hard to get going, get off the ground. But fate being what it is, cancer took Walt from us too soon. He was not that he was young. Not that he was young. But I could only just imagine what Walt would have said if he got to see his dream realized. The dream that started with Disneyland and became Walt Disney World, or the Magic Kingdom. And just, he had the space, they had the financing that sadly they didn't have in Disneyland. And now they were able to build it, and Walt missed it by a few years. His brother Roy was able to see it to completion, dedicate the park, dedicated to his brother. He's the one that suggested calling it Walt Disney World in honor of his little brother. and then passed shortly afterwards as well. And now to have a statue of the two brothers in the park, opposite ends of Main Street. Roy being where he gave the dedication, and Walt being in the heart of the park because he truly is the heart. And to have that statue there with Mickey and looking just happily at everything around him just is so special for me. Speaking of, there is a secret 2-minute show that takes place at Cinderella Castle every night. Most people don't know about it. It is one of the most magical experiences in the Magic Kingdom. You can't find this on the schedule. It's not listed in any time guide. It's not anywhere. It's a little bit of a secret if you know about it. It's commonly referred to as the Kiss Goodnight. It occurs 30 minutes after the park has officially closed for the night. It's the Magic Kingdom's way of saying goodbye to its guests. During the Kiss Goodnight, guests have a chance to watch Cinderella's castle twinkle and listen to When You Wish Upon a Star and delight as Roy Disney shares a part of his Walt Disney World dedication speech. It's just spectacular. Again, to close with Roy Disney and the words that he used to open the park. Now, almost 50 years ago. Again, and then you go outside the back of the castle, and the structure of it. You have the windows for the Cinderella's royal table. You have the shops, of course, the Bippity Boppity Boutique, and just the castle walls extending, and you have the other attractions coming off of it. And it's almost like the rides are separate, but it's embracing it, the other rides around it, and you kind of have this. You have the carousel, you have a Small World, Peter Pan, PhilharMagic, the Royal Princess Hall. Almost said Snow White. Don't have that anymore. Winnie the Pooh, all that type of stuff there. It's you kind of forget that you're still within the confines of the castle as you're walking around Fantasyland, but it's supposed to be like the old medieval times where the castle was a fortress that protected this town that for its people. So that's kind of what they were going with there. Unlike in Disneyland, where it's a whole different kind of theming on that. It's truly magical, and again, it's so iconic. They intentionally made this castle big enough that you can see it 2 miles away from the TTC. You can still see that castle, and that again is intentional. As you cross the lake, you keep getting closer. Either you're going by monorail or going by the boats, and you just see this castle. He just keeps getting closer and closer and calling you in. And it's kind of the tease. It's the movie preview, as I mentioned during the Main Street walkabout. It's done intentionally, so you kind of have it draws you in, and then when you get in, you just kind of walk there. And how many times do you see people walking down Main Street and stopping and taking pictures of them with the castle in the background to show they have arrived. They are there at the Magic Kingdom, the most visited park in the world. You can get married in front of this castle. There's shows in front of it. The firework presentation. There's of the three shows that have been done in front of the Magic Kingdom, not including holiday ones, keep getting better. Happy Ever After by far is the most moving. I know a lot of people love Wishes, and Wishes was spectacular, but my gosh, Happily Ever After, they've taken it to a whole new level. You also have the turrets on the side of the castle now. I forgot about those. That housed a lot of the projection and sound equipment for the fireworks show. But again, it just adds to the grandeur of this castle now. As if it wasn't enough before, it's now gotten even bigger over the years. The castle keeps growing, and it's spectacular. It hasn't lost any of its magic by them adding on to it. It just keeps getting grander and grander. I every time I come up and I'm walking down Main Street, I see that castle. I just always pause and just take it in and just smile because it is so magical. So, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts of the Cinderella's castle in the Magic Kingdom? I want to know. Join the conversation on Facebook, facebook.com/Disney Marvels Podcast, or our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Disney Marvel Podcast. You can also find us on Instagram at Disney Marvels Podcast, or on Twitter at just Disney Marvels. You can email the show with your answers or suggestions to disneymarvels@gmail.com, or leave a message through the Anchor app or website. Links to all the above are in the show notes. I want to thank you for your time. I know how little time we all have these days, and the fact that you spent some time with us, with me, means so much. If I could just ask for a little more of that time, and just simply tell people about the show. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, anyone that you know that likes Disney. Let them know. Check out the Disney Marvel Podcast. Or, if you want, keep your social distancing, go into iTunes and give the show a rating. We have all 5-star reviews at the moment and would love to have some more. It helps people find out about the show and gets the word out. And it helps grow this Disney family. Remember, the bigger the Disney family, the better. That's what Walt believed, and I believe it as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the show while you're at it. This way you always know when new episodes are posted. And also consider becoming a premium subscriber to the show. You can do this over at anchor.fm/DisneyMarvels/support, or find our Patreon page. Links are also in the show notes. Because remember, this show is brought to you by listeners like you. Whatever you're facing out there, the troubles, the difficulties, the foreboding, and just eerie feeling of just what this year has brought, don't give up. This too shall pass. It is hard to believe that, but believe me, as dark as things may seem, this too shall pass. There's a light that is within inside of you, and you need to embrace it, because it will help you get through all the difficulties and all the challenges. And I'm not saying it will make things easier, but it will guide you, and you'll be better for it on the other side. You are smart, you are beautiful, I believe in you. You should believe in you too. Be your own hero. Never give up and never give in. I'd like to end this show with a quote from Walt Disney himself. Disneyland is not just another amusement park. It's unique, and I want to keep it that way. Besides, you don't work for $1, you work to create and have fun. And that's Walt Disney. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you next time.